Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya wal Mursaleen. Lesson number 3. It is about the types of kalima. The types of word. Kalima is a word, yeah? There are 3 types. Ism, noun. Fi'l, verb. Harf, which is particle. Number 1, ism, the definition of ism. The linguistic meaning of ism is height, like to be raised, to be high, okay? Being high and being raised, okay? Or it also means like a sign, right? And technically, what does ism mean? So ism can mean, you mentioned there, bulandi. Bulandi means to be on a high place, yeah? And nishani means like a sign. And the technical meaning of it is that word, that kalima, which denotes upon its meaning even without being joined up with other words. Alright? It doesn't need to be joined up with other words, but even on its own, it denotes upon its meaning. It has a meaning on its own. Right? And it does not have a connection to any of the 3 tenses. Past, present, future. Right? Past is known as madi. Present is known as hal. And future is known as mustaqbil. So it doesn't have a connection to madi, hal or mustaqbil. Alright? These are the 2 things you need to know about what? Ism. For example, Al-Basra. Al-Basra is a city in Iraq. Al-Pakistan, it mentions here, yeah? Pakistan, yeah? So these 2 are just names of places or a name of a person, like Zaid, right? What's the 2 things that you know for ism? It has a meaning independently. It doesn't need to be connected to any other word to give it a meaning, to make sense. It makes sense on its own. Straight away you understand it denotes on its meaning. Secondly, it does not have a connection to any of the 3 tenses. Like these words I gave you now, Basra, Pakistan, right? Zaid. These words are nouns, they're ism. They are understood on their own. You don't have to connect them to anything else. Straight away you understand them. And they don't have a connection to the past, present or the future. Do you understand?
Yeah.
That's the first one. Second one is fi'l, verb. What is the definition of verb? Fi'l linguistically means to do work, to do something. It's a verb, it's something which you do. Something which you do. Right. Technically in istilah, the meaning of it is that kalima which again denotes upon its own meaning without the need of other words. Okay? So it's like ism in this sense.
Yeah.
This also has an independent meaning. As soon as you say a verb, it is immediately understood from itself. It doesn't need other words to be connected to it in order to explain it or give it a meaning.
Yeah.
It's understood on its own. Then it says that it does have a connection to any of the 3 tenses. Okay? It may have a connection, it has a connection. It must have a connection to any of the 3 tenses.
Yeah.
And I say any of the 3 tenses, okay? It might have a connection to the past one, it might have a connection to the present or to the future, okay? For example, sirtu. Sirtu means I traveled, I went, right? Sirtu. Now, when you say this word, sirtu, I traveled, right? Is it understood on its own? It is, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's understood on its own, right? And secondly, what was the thing? Having a connection with one of the 3 tenses. What tense does this have a connection with? Past, present or future? I traveled
past.
in the past. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So this is a fi'l, it's a verb. You understand now?
Yeah.
The third type is harf. Harf literally means taraf, edge. Right? Edge. That's what it means linguistically. And technically it means that word which is not understood in a proper context, is not understood without being connected to other words. Alright?
Yeah.
So this is the particle one, the harf. Right? And this one needs to be connected to other words in order for it to be understood properly. Alright? If it's just said on its own, it doesn't really make sense. Right? For example, min, or the word ila. Min means from, and ila means to. So if you just say, person is just saying from, it doesn't make sense. Or a person is just saying to. It's on its own. You get it? It doesn't make sense on its own. Why? In order for it to make sense, it needs to be connected to other words. Alright? So this is the definition of harf. You understand?
Yeah.
The particle. So these are the three different types. Them are done. Now it explains a bit further about all three. He has an example here. Sirtu minal basrati ilal kufa. In the example he mentions this. Sirtu minal basrati ilal kufati. I travelled from Basra to Kufa. Okay. In this example, sirtu, what is that? A verb, it's a fail. What's min? Particle. Al-Basra is ism, it's a noun, okay? Ila, to, is going to be a particle. And what's Al-Kufa? Also an ism.
Yeah.
Alright? Remember by the definitions? So he gives this example. Why? Sirtu is a fail, it's a verb. I travelled. Why? Because it's understood on its own. You don't need to connect it to any other word to understand it. And then also it denotes on its meaning on its own. Yeah? And then the second thing is, in this word sirtu, it also has a tense. Which tense? Past tense. So it's known as a fi'l, as a verb. Then when he mentions Al-Basra and Al-Kufa, the two places, these are both ism. Why? They are understood on their own. Straight away, if someone says Al-Basra or Al-Kufa, do you understand straight away what it is? Yes, you know, Basra is that place in Iraq, Kufa is that place in Iraq. So these two are ism. They are nouns. Because they are understood on their own and they don't have a connection to any of the three tenses. So therefore they can't be a verb, they have to be a noun. Right? And the last ones, the two particles in there were min, which is from, ila, which is to. These two are particles. Why? They are harf. Because both of them are not understood independently on their own. They both need to be connected to other words, right? In order to be understood. Right? Min is like the beginning and ila is like the ending, because the journey started. Sirtu min al-Basrati ila al-Kufati. I travelled from al-Basra to al-Kufa. So this is the meaning of the lesson. So just revise these, go over these, and inshallah ta'ala you will understand.